Salutations! Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. V back with another casted game of Age of Empires 3. I am extra hyped today because there are a few factors making this game in particular extra special. Number one, we have two of the best players in the game currently, both top 20 on the leaderboard. Number two, we are featuring the British civilization, which means I get to showcase Iron Kaiser's better English voiceover mod, which may or may not include myself. We'll see if the Brit player makes any muskets, and I might be able to show you my crisp acting skills. And number three, we are going to witness one of the worst matchups that is possible in this game we all love. But first, the player introductions. On the west half of the map, playing in the color blue, as the Brits, we have 15 October. Not familiar with that name, could be a Smurf name of a player I do know. But if you guys know the identity of 15 October, please let me know in the comments below. Going with the double manor, using them as forward scouting positions. That is the sign of an excellent Brit player. Using your manors as vision sites. Very, very nice for him. And on the eastern half of the map, playing in the color red, as the Russians, we have Mr. Frontline, top 10 player in the game currently, if you look at the leaderboards the day that this video comes out. Now, here's why I'm excited. Frontline is going to have his hands full. Yes, he is a higher rank than the Brit player, but he's playing as Russia versus Brit. Brit, one of the strongest civs in the game, never has been the strongest civ. But if you are to say that Brit has ever been a weak civ since 2005, I would say that you are wrong. Meanwhile, Russia, poor Russia, they can just not seem to catch a break. One of the weakest civs in the game, currently at least in 1v1 supremacy. Meanwhile, Frontline sending Distributism, very standard Russian deck, does have Servov Reforms, one of my favorite Russian cards. I love that strat. And 15 October, also very standard deck, does have Schooners. We could be seeing water play here from the Brit player. Certainly very, very viable. But yes, if you are not aware, this is one of Russia's toughest matchups and one of the easiest matchups for Brit. So we're going to be interesting in terms of if Frontline can overcome that civ gap. Now, if you don't believe me, I did go onto the amazing Free Food Party website and I did check the statistics for this matchup, and here they are now. And as you can see, currently, Brit has a 59% win rate against Russians, and Russia only a 41% win rate versus the Brits. And 15 October just stole 85 wood, as if it can't get bad enough for poor Frontline. Can't even get the 85 wood. Even came in with a settler to steal that, and gonna use that to get up a third manor, which is going to give him another free villager. So basically was a settler treasure that was stolen. And we do see forward Russian bills coming as well. Forward blockhouse coming in right on the teepee line and on the water as well. Probably the best blockhouse placement that Frontline could have gone for. Both explorers going to disengage. So certainly not unwinnable here for Russia. And being helmed by Frontline certainly gives them an extra boost. But I just wanted to show that this is just naturally going to be very, very good for 15 October. One of the best win rates on the entire website. Although I think there are some other matchups as well that are not good. Aztec versus China, for example, is just awful. But it looks like Frontline did age with the Quartermaster. Yes, of course he did. Meanwhile, 15 October aging with the coin and the outpost. So very standard from both players. And October starting Cav. That is the play versus Russia. Really, no matter what civ you are, if you go Cav open, you're going to do well against most of Russia's units, because Russia has weak musketeers, Strelette just get melted, and the Cossacks in even numbers will lose to Hussars. So I like that play by October. I think he's just playing this very, very standard, sending 700 wood. Yeah, he is going to play this the way most British players play it, and obviously it works because of that astounding win rate. Frontline sending 5 Cossacks, also playing it very, very standard. 5 Cossacks, 5 recruits, going to try to get some harass. I would love to see a follow-up of maybe 700 wood. I don't think he should go for the full commit. Maybe use this as a harassing force and then try to secure this TP line. That might be the economic buff he needs to try to match Brit, but gonna be picking up a treasure as well. What is he gonna get here? 130 XP. That is a fantastic treasure. Very nice take for Frontline. So doing everything he needs to do to try to keep that gap small. Currently 17 vills for him and already 27 vills for October. Absolutely ridiculous. But Hussars are now out for Brit. He's only got 3 in his first batch, so the advantage does go to Russia. But with TC Fire and the Outpost and this Clubman, he's actually going to be able to hold off the Russian advance. And he just has so much sight. If we go to October's perspective, look at how much he sees with these manners. He basically has this entire half of the map completely visible to him. And so any sort of sneakiness from Frontline is just not going to work. But he is capturing the TP line. I love to see that from our boy Frontline. I think he's doing the right thing, but I don't know if October's going to let this go for free. He does have 5 more cav out on the map, and 8 Hussar will just wreck recruits, even though recruits are their counter. Look at these Rusketeers get melted. Sit down, son. And they're going to be able to deal with these Cossacks in sequence. If that had been maybe a combined fight with the Cossacks and the Ruskets and the Blockhouse might have gone better for Frontline. But now more Ruskets coming out, going to keep him at bay, sending for Cossack. And yeah, doing what he needs to do, going to secure this middle half of the map. And if we do get into the mid to late game, that is going to play in Frontline's favor, as Brit will very, very quickly eat through their hunts. He's got plenty of food now, but he's got a very large base of villagers that he needs to keep fed, along with very food-heavy units. These Hussar, 120 food each. So he does have to break out at some point and secure the middle of the map from Russia if he wants to snowball and use that big civ advantage that he already has. But now the Russian army growing in size from those good H2 shipments, and Britain still going with pure Hussar. Going to get a couple of Vil kills here, very nice, but let's see what happens to this main group of Hussars. They're going to get flanked from 2 sides. Excellent cav micro from Frontline. Nowhere to go. 1 Hussar's gonna go down for sure, possibly even 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5. Maybe this entire group of cav is going to get swallowed. 3 Hussars going down, 4 Hussars going down, and though Frontline did lose 2 villagers for that trade, he did pick up a lot of resources worth of cav. That's about 800 resources that he picked up basically for free, since October was purely trying to run away, not do any return damage there. So sort of an equal trade when you think about the fact that Russia did lose 2 vills, and he is at a significant vil disadvantage. 24 versus 41 for Frontline. And October already at 160 manner pop, sending 6 Musketeers, which is really going to weigh the fight into Brit's favor. Musketeers for Brit, much, much stronger than these recruits. And if Frontline does not get a good engagement like he just got, he will see his army get folded relatively quickly. But Muskets and Hussar coming out for the Brit player, 43 vils to just 24 still from Frontline, and trying to be pesky with these Hussar, but doesn't want to lose these needlessly. They are 200 resources a pop, but I like the fact that he's keeping the Russian army running around, but Frontline not allowing his economy to fall too far behind, as he is securing the stagecoach upgrade. All 3 trading posts now in Russian hands. So we might be seeing an engagement here, Musk and Cav from both sides, but one side has numbers, the other side has superiority. Let's see if the clash happens. More Hussars joining October's a little raiding force here, and he does have the Nootka Clubman, though I don't know how useful that poor guy will be. 13 Strelet. Is it 13 or is it just 10? Yes, it is the 13 Strelet shipment now coming in for Frontline. Will help pick off those Musks, but they will be susceptible to this huge batch of cav, and in comes the engagement. The Rusket's going to try to get into melee. Nootka Clubman being pesky, going down immediately. Poor guy, RIP. More recruits coming out. Meanwhile, October making more Musk, more cav, though he is a little bit low on coin. Probably not going to be able to get out a full batch of both. north. And look at the British army being shoved into the boundary of the map. This might be a good engagement, sending one hussar back to try to delay, but gonna lose that resource for free. 200 more resources going down the pot. And the Cossacks trying to keep these muskets engaged so that the Strelets can get into combat. These Strelets pretty quick on their feet. And given that they don't have as much range as a regular skirmisher, that is the trade-off. But now the hussars have engaged. They're going to try to get on the Strelet. We do have Ruskets in the back doing damage. Longbowmen now coming out for Britain, but they won't be here in time to join the fight. More hussar coming from the north, and the Ruskets are getting engaged in hand combat. The Strelets are being harassed, but October needs to get these cav engaged. What is he doing? They're just sitting there. They need to get in on those Ruskets. And this fight actually might turn out to be a fairly even trade, or maybe even a win for Frontline, and Britain decides to disengage, and that was an excellent trade for Russia. These are the types of trades that Russia wants. They want to be able to trade their very, very cheap units in exchange for the comparatively more expensive units from October. And October lost a lot of cav, a good 10 or 12 muskets there as well. So 200 resources per head for the cav, 100 for the muskets. And look at the food situation. We've got one hunt up in the north, a couple more in the south, but they are way more exposed. And eventually, give it maybe 5, 6, 7 more minutes, we are going to see the British player start to starve. Now, he does have schooners, he does have water potential, but that takes time to implement. It's not like an instant jump start like you might see with crates. So let's take a look at Frontline. What has he sent? He has sent all of his unit shipments. He has upgrades. He has advanced arsenal, 2 caravel, and 600 coin. He's macroing for age 3. He's already got age 3 in. Oh my goodness. Exiled Prince is now down. He's got a ton of market upgrades. I've seen him get steel traps, now getting placer mines as well. Cossacks and recruits. So a stable must be down at the back of the base. Smart placement there. I like it when top level players put their stables in base, even if they have a forward position, because it just allows those, cav training facilities to be safe while still, being that they're cav, they can still arrive to the battle relatively quickly. Whew, okay, calm down. I'm really, really excited. I can't believe that Frontline he might actually be winning this game right now. I mean, there is a 4,000 score difference in favor of October, but Russia is usually behind in score. That's just kind of naturally built in to their mechanic as a civ. And now that he's got 2 Falconets on the way, hopefully he does not send it to this blockhouse. He brings it to this one back here. And there aren't as many British cav on the field as there once was, but there are still enough to potentially take out 2 Falconets, but there are a decent amount of Ruskets now. Hopefully these guys get the veteran upgrade soon. Let's see. Veteran Ruskets, is it coming in for Frontline? Yes, it's over halfway done. 2 Falconets have almost arrived, and cavalry archers are coming as well. Going to be excellent against those Hussar. And yeah, just not a lot of longbow here. These are still H2 muskets, still very, very good. And are the Falconets going to be exposed? Oh, Hussars coming in from the back. And these Falconets are probably going to go down. But look at how many Hussar are going to be sacrificed in exchange for those 2 Falconets. All of the cav going down. Probably 2,000 resources worth of Hussars. And October calls it there. Frontline pulling off the upset. He had a 41% chance of winning, and he did not care. He did everything that he needed to. He secured the trading post, he pressured Brit, and he just did not stop pushing. He kept taking decent engagements, and now that he's in age 3, he's set to take over this game. Yes, he is behind in score, but think about it this way. It looks like October isn't even close to being macroed to age. And, he sent a lot of his age 2 shipments, right? No more units coming out. Starting to run out of food. The food he has is more and more exposed. And, I mean, just look at what Frontline could now send. He could send more Cossacks. He could send Surovov reforms, even though he doesn't have many Strelets. He could send upgrades. He can send refrigeration. He can send Manchu. So, yeah, I think that was a good call from October. I think he knew that he lost, but what a play by Frontline, taking a bad civ and beating a civ that normally has no problem against Russia. But let's take a look in more detail. Guys, follow me to the postgame. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in the postgame, and of course, Britain had the resource advantage, but that's really not a surprise against Russia. What is a surprise is just how well Frontline did in these fights. I mean, look at the unit losses, right? This is really telling. The fact that Britain lost more units than Russia, and Russia's whole gimmick, right, is sacrificing numbers in exchange for, quality in the trades. And not losing as many as your Russian opponent means you're going to lose. But when we go to the timeline here, of course, we're going to see a huge advantage for Brit in terms of villagers. By the end there, he was at 60 vills, and Russia was only at about 36. But we also have to remember, he had 3 stagecoach trading posts, which I don't know what the equivalency there is. I think maybe it's like 4 or 5 vills per trading post. So, you add like 15 onto that, and you're going to be closer to, 50 vills. So not as big of a gap as you might think. And yeah, military units, again, Frontline getting that early mass advantage and beating superior units and taking really good engagements too. Is Cav Micro getting those Hussar trapped, and yeah, just too many losses for October to justify the costs, right? He took out the 2 Falconets, but at the costs of, 2,000, 2,500 resources worth of Cav, and those cannot be easily replaced. But still, really, really good game. Loved watching it. Was very close until the very end there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be back with another game in a couple of days, but until then, have a great day. Have a great life. See you later.